You're watching CBS7 News at 9 on the CW and live on the CBS7 YouTube channel with Alexandra, Macia, and Tom Teeperteller.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for CBS7 News on the CW, and thanks for joining us live on the CBS7 YouTube. I'm Alexandra, Macia, and we start tonight tracking crime. We have an update from Upton County where the suspect in a deadly shooting has been identified. You'll remember we told you about a shooting in McCamey that left one man dead. The shooting happened on the 300 block of West 6th Street. Upton County Sheriff's Office says the shooting investigation is still ongoing. CBS7 will update the story with more details as we have them. And 14 families met at an Odessa church this morning to make the adoption of 17 kids official. November is National Adoption Month, and the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services wants to celebrate adoptive families with big celebrations like today. Last year, more than 4,400 children were adopted from DFPS care. Still, there are 4,607 Texas kids legally free for adoption right now. 188 of them are in the Permian Basin. Smiles, claps, and happy tears filled the room at Grace Christian Church as each family's adoption was approved by Judge Tracy Scown, like the Rolowitz family, who traveled from San Angelo to formally adopt siblings Jameson and Isabel.
It's been a long, hard, up and down journey, but honestly, I wouldn't change anything for the world. These kids are smart. They are so loving. They care. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on.
The couple added that they think anyone with patience and an open heart should consider adopting. This is one of 3 events in the Permian Basin, with 7 children being adopted at a ceremony in Midland yesterday and 11 kids set to be adopted next week in San Angelo. And calling all trading card game players. Now is the time to give back to your community and earn some cards for your efforts. Nexus Cards and Games is hosting a food drive, and if you bring in 5 non-perishable food items, you get a booster pack for the game of your choice. You can bring the food in any time. They are open and claim your prize. They expanded a food drive fundraiser they were already planning to do for another game.
It stemmed from another event that Konami had asked us if we wanted to be a part of, which was a food drive for their game, and we decided just to make it all-inclusive so that every player had a chance to help donate and get a reward for doing it.
Nexus Cards and Games is a shop in Midland that also hosts game events every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The event starts today and runs through December 11th. And it's time to take a look at weather. Chief Meteorologist Tom Teeperteller is here to tell us what we can expect. Tom?
Well, this turned out to be a nasty night across West Texas as a little rain is falling so far. Rainfall amounts have been light across the Permian Basin. Thought we were about done with it, but oh no, it came back and we're still seeing the rain come down across many areas of the Permian Basin right now. The heaviest bands of this have moved off to the north and northeast, but still dealing with areas of drizzle. Occasional light rain across the Midland, Odessa area over towards Big Spring, up towards Andrews at the present time. In fact, here's a look at the live iCam in Odessa looking east along 42nd. We are seeing a cold, drizzly night out there. Temperatures at 48 in Odessa, 47 over towards Midland, already into the upper 30s into the mountain areas at the present time. And those winds, again, they are relatively light across the area, but your Veterans Day, again, we are going to be looking for continuation of the cold, cloudy conditions first thing in the morning, and more rain is on the way, and we'll talk about that here in just a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Tom. Ahead of Veterans Day tomorrow, Odessa Police Chief Mike Gerke and other officers with OPD were on hand for the ribbon cutting of a new mural in downtown Odessa. The mural is located at 117 East 1st Street on the side of the Heap Industries building. It features a bald eagle in front of the American flag. Gerke says Heap Industries wanted to thank veterans for their services through the mural.
A while back, Heap Industries contacted the artist here of this mural and wanted to have a painting on the side of their building that would represent the spirit of Veterans Day and just celebrate those veterans that we have in our community and thank them for that.
Chief Gerke says he was honored to be invited and that being thought of alongside America's veterans was humbling. And the Odessa Jackalopes teamed up with the Veteran Affair to host the Veteran Palooza at the Ector County Coliseum. It's an event where veterans across the Permian Basin can get a chance to see what kind of services local and national organizations provide. Multiple booths surrounded the home of the Odessa Jackalopes, but instead of selling beers and food, they were showing support to veterans. Texas has a heavy veteran presence, but not many of them know about the services provided in their area.
Because we don't live next to an active duty military post, so they're kind of just lost of where to go or what to do.
Aside from Whitefield helping those veterans that may not know about these services, she also wants to help veterans who she believes weren't given the proper treatment after serving.
Ones that are near and dear to my heart are our older veterans, the Korean War, World War II, Vietnam era, that really didn't get the welcome homes and the benefits that they deserved in their era, but now we're trying to right that wrong and get them connected with those benefits when they really need it.
If you missed out on today's event, it will also be going on tomorrow at the Ector County Coliseum from 1 to 4. Coming up at 6, we'll hear more from some of the organizations that work at this event and from a Vietnam War veteran. And earlier today, the Advanced Odessa Hospital held an event to honor a World War II veteran. His W.T. Riley, but they call him Dub, thanks to his wife coining the nickname 50 years ago. There was a presentation and book signing for a book Riley helped write about growing up in a poor family and serving in the Marine Corps. Paul Cordaway, CEO of Advanced Odessa Hospital, said it was the honor of a lifetime to be a part of this event on the Marine Corps' birthday because he served as a Marine from 1993 all the way to 2005 as a Major.
We're getting to that point in the world now where the last of the World War II veterans will pass. Dub Riley is one of those. But we don't just talk about their service in military terms. It happens to be a very special day.
He says it's very important to do something that's tangible for veterans, where they actually do something to help and honor those who served our country. Every quarter, Advanced Odessa Hospital plans to work together with Real Thanks, a local veterans charity, and with the American Legion to honor a Permian veteran by putting their name on the base of a flagpole outside the hospital to be remembered forever. And in your health headlines, a lack of social interaction can lead to an earlier death. Researchers say compared with people whose family and friends visited them daily, the risk of premature death for those who lived alone and never had visits increased by 39%. The authors say they examined 2 different types of loneliness and 3 different types of social isolation and found that each were associated with a higher risk of death. Social disconnection has previously been linked to poor immune function, heart issues such as high blood pressure, and even mental issues. It can also manifest as a form of stress, which can negatively affect both body and mind. And in continuing coverage, as the Palestinian death toll rises in Gaza, people are fleeing to the territory south in search of a safer location. Israeli Prime Minister has repeatedly rejected calls for a ceasefire, telling Israeli troops on Friday that the fighting will not stop until the task is completed. CBS News correspondent Willie James Inman has more from Washington.
Palestinians are fleeing intense fighting in Gaza's north as they desperately move to the south, some sheltering at hospitals now caught in the deadly fighting. Israel says Hamas places its military infrastructure in hospitals, using civilians as human shields. According to Hamas, Gaza's death toll has surpassed 11,000, reporting about 2/3 of them are women and children.
Far too many Palestinians have been killed. Far too many have suffered. We want to do everything possible to prevent harm to them and to maximize the assistance that gets to them. To that end, we'll be continuing to discuss with Israel concrete steps that can be taken to advance these objectives.
At least 1,200 people have been killed in Israel, mainly in the initial Hamas terror attack on October 7th. Top U.S. officials say the White House is working on a deal for the release of hostages Hamas is holding in Gaza. Another group, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, says it's prepared to release a woman and a boy being held. These are still images from a new video released by the group that shows the woman and a boy who were kidnapped from their kibbutz.
I lost 3 friends, one of them really close friend. I just know that I need to do something and not sit in my house.
In Tel Aviv, Israelis hosted a Friday Shabbat dinner with more than 200 empty seats to pray for the roughly 200 hostages being held captive. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
Questioned by the media, the Israeli military said it doesn't fire on hospitals, but if they see Hamas firing from them, they will say they will do what they need to do. And federal authorities say someone targeted election officials in multiple states with letters laced with fentanyl. Bradley Blackburn has more details from New York.
The FBI has joined the investigation to find out who sent more than a dozen letters containing a suspicious powder to election workers. The letters were sent to offices in 5 states and were believed to have been mailed from somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. Initial tests show some of the letters contain trace amounts of fentanyl, but further tests are being conducted.
Some people like to call fentanyl a drug, but it's actually poison. It'll kill you. It'll kill you very quickly, very easily.
Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger confirmed that one of the letters was addressed to an election office in Fulton County, the same county where former President Trump and several co-defendants face charges for trying to overturn the 2020 results. Trump has pleaded not guilty. Fulton County election officials have received numerous threats since the 2020 presidential election.
This is domestic terrorism, and it needs to be condemned by anyone that holds elected office and anyone that wants to hold elected office anywhere in America.
We have to start taking these threats seriously and push back on them.
Former Washington Secretary of State Kim Wyman says there need to be new laws carrying severe penalties for people trying to interfere with elections.
This should be mandated. When someone threatens our election system and is trying to undermine our way of life, we have to take a stand and hold them accountable.
Authorities still don't know the motive of the person or persons who sent the letters. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And now for a look at today's top headlines, shown here in real time with real viewers on CBS7.com. See all these stories and more by downloading our app or visiting our website at CBS7.com. And still ahead, Taylor Swift, SZA, Miley Cyrus, and Jon Batiste are some of the artists nominated for Grammy Awards this year. And it's that time of year again, time for Tom's Coats. As the temperatures drop, many West Texans are struggling to stay warm. That's why Chief Meteorologist Tom Teeper-Teller is hosting a coat drive. CBS7 is looking for gently used or new jackets or sweaters for the drive. You can donate jackets and coats at the locations listed on your screen. The nominations are out for the 66 Grammy Awards, and women are dominating all of the big categories. Danya Backus takes a look at those who made the list.
SZA leads the pack with 9 nominations, including Record Song and Album of the Year. Her blockbuster compilation, SOS, only her second album, is also up for Best Progressive R&B Album.
Her SOS album has been this sort of genre and culture crossing album. It's a rare creative and commercial triumph.
Victoria Monet and Phoebe Bridgers came in second with 7 nominations. 6 of Bridgers' nods are for her supergroup Boy Genius. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Taylor Swift, with 6 nominations, is poised to make history at the Grammys if her Midnight's album wins Album of the Year.
If she wins, she'll become the first artist ever to win in this category 4 times.
Wow.
She didn't release her most lively album this past year, but the tour and Taylor Mania and everything else has really given it a lot of wind.
She's tied now with Barbra Streisand for the most Grammy nominations by a woman in that category. Olivia Rodrigo, Miley Cyrus, Billie Eilish, Brandy Clark, producer Jack Antonoff, and Jon Batiste also nabbed 6 nods. And Batiste is the only male artist in the Record and Album of the Year categories. Gracie Abrams, Fred Again, Ice Spice, Jelly Roll, Coco Jones, Noah Kahan, Victoria Monet, and The War and Treaty are all up for Best New Artist. The 66th Grammy Awards show airs live on CBS and streams on Paramount Plus Sunday, February 4th from the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Well, it has turned out to be a nasty, drizzly night out there. Things are a little bit on the chilly side. We'll talk more about that coming up next.
Now, from the CBS7 First Alert Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Teefertiller.
Well, it is a cool, wet night out there. Let's take a look outside on a live iCam in Odessa. Now, this is elevated a little bit, but still, though, we do have a lot of light rain, drizzle, mist coming down out there, and it's kept temperatures chilly. And so far, we're not seeing a lot of fog develop as of yet. Now, the heavier rain, light to moderate rain, I should say, is moving in around the Big Spring area, starting to move away from Midland and Odessa, but still areas of patchy drizzle, mist, light rain continue north and east of the Pecos River, but expecting some of this to dry out as we move in towards the morning hours is down towards Pecos, Fort Stockton. We're looking at improving conditions. Things are still a little chilly out there. Everybody into the 40s, but look at this, already 39 in Alpine, 35 over towards Guadalupe Pass. So again, some chilly stuff out there. All being kicked off by this little disturbance rolling across, keeping things rather wet across the area. There's another disturbance on its heels that's going to roll in as we move in towards late on Sunday into Monday, and that's going to bring another chance of rain to our forecast. Now, the heaviest stuff has been along the Texas Gulf Coast. A little low pressure system starting to wind up down here just right off the Texas coast. It's east of Brownsville. That is causing a lot of the rain showers to continue. It looks like the heavier stuff has moved offshore now of coastal Texas, but here's what we're dealing with back across West Texas. Had a little snow in the Sacramento's east central portions of the state of New Mexico. As you can see, high temperatures today really didn't reach out to the 50s too much. In fact, kind of cool across most of the state except deep south Texas, mild into the 70s. Now, as I take a look at the West Texas Futurecast, we're going to be covered up with clouds, waking up to those first thing in the morning, continuing through the afternoon hours. We're going to be dealing with that as relatively quiet conditions are going to be in the forecast. We cloud back up after a little bit of a break tomorrow evening, and more low clouds are on the way for your Sunday, so keep that in mind with your outdoor plans. We'll be dealing with the clouds. I think we'll be mostly dry, though, and looking at those temperatures again. Staying on the cool side. Rest of tonight, we're going to hold into the mid-40s overnight tonight, mid-50s tomorrow as the clouds hang on, but the better chances of rain late on Sunday into Monday, especially as we see that next disturbance roll across. Then a mild streak and a dry streak as we hurl in towards next week. So we're going to be looking for a little bit of a change in our forecast after next Monday.
Still ahead, a major pet food recall and more in your consumer news. Cantaloupes sold under the brand name True Fresh because of the risk of salmonella contamination have been recalled. Salmonella can cause serious and sometimes fatal infections in young children, frail or elderly people, as well as those with weakened immune systems. All sizes of fresh cantaloupes packaged in cardboard containers with the Malachita label and sold between October 16th and 23rd are part of the recall. The cantaloupes were distributed in Arizona, Texas, and most other southern states. To date, there have been no reported illnesses associated with the cantaloupes, but the risk is there. Also, Mid-America Pet Food is expanding a recall of dog and cat food that started last week. Impacted brands include Victor Super Premium Dog Foods, Wayne Feeds Dog Food, Eagle Mountain Pet Food, and some members Mark Varieties. They have best by dates before October 31st of next year. The problem is the food may contain salmonella, and that can make pets sick, and also people who handle the food and don't wash their hands after. As of last Wednesday, 7 people had reported salmonella infections. And how much do you leave as a tip at a restaurant? The majority of Americans say 15%, and that's according to a Pew Research poll of 12,000 Americans. 57% of those surveyed say they tip 15% at a sit-down restaurant. A quarter of people leave 20% or more, and 2% say they don't tip at all. Majority of those surveyed say they're feeling the impact of tipflation, with 72% saying they're asked to tip more frequently now than 5 years ago. Four iconic toys have made it into the National Toy Hall of Fame in upstate New York. This year's inductees are Cabbage Patch Kids, baseball cards, the Nerf ball, and the Fisher-Price Corn Popper. This year, the Fisher-Price Corn Popper was a special 4th inductee in honor of the Hall's 25th anniversary. It won by popular vote out of 5 forgotten finalists. You can see the National Toy Hall of Fame for yourself at the Strong National Museum of Play in Rochester. I haven't seen the popper, I don't think, in a while.
You know, it looks like a weed eater type thing. It's on 2 wheels and it's got the popper thing. So when you roll the wheels, it...
I know, but I haven't seen one of those around in a bit.
Oh,
I don't know if kids still play with them.
They make them with ducks now that quack and all this stuff. So there's some neat stuff. Interesting thing about this, though, the Ken doll did not make it once again into the Toy Hall of Fame. A lot of uproar about that.
You would think that it would have, but anyways. Well, this is my last time on the 9 o'clock show. So for the last time, thanks for watching CBS 7 First Alert News at 9 CW.